We are live. So hello everyone who is watching our YouTube live stream or the recording of this week's growth call. I'm Christoph and I'm your host today. As always, I will just post the Google invitation link in the live chat on the left. So if you want to join the Google Hangout directly, or if you just want to watch the YouTube live stream, please post any remarks or just say hello in the live chat next to the video, and I will try to monitor all your requests and questions during the call. Thanks as always also to Chris Sacher, who will write the meeting minutes after the meeting. And I'm really excited that we have so many people today in our call. We will talk about the upcoming US dollar liquidity week and the new payment methods that will be part of the 0.66 release that will be released sometime this week. For every one of you who join us for the first time and maybe don't know what Bisq is the only real decentralized fiat cryptocurrency exchange out there. So you can exchange fiat currencies like US dollars with Bitcoin, or you can also exchange cryptocurrencies with other cryptocurrencies. Our growth calls like this one today are about exchange learnings on how to grow the Bisq network itself. We decided last year to focus the next months on growing especially liquidity on Bisq, which means to increase the number of buy and sell offers available on the market. As today's call is about the upcoming US dollar liquidity week, I just want to give you an idea what we roughly mean with liquidity week. So it's Chris will go into the more detail later, but in short, it's just a week where everyone who is participating tries to have one buy and one sell offer available all the time to push the market. It worked really well for the Euro Bitcoin market last year, and want to do the same now for US dollars. So everyone who participates not only supports decentralized exchanges like Bisq, but will also receive 20 Bisq tokens on top. Maybe just really short on the Bisq token, it has different utilities within the Bisq DAO, which will be released within the next couple of months. You can vote with the Bisq token, you can transfer it, buy, sell it, and you can pay the trading fees with it. If you want to know more about the Bisq DAO, there's a great white paper. I will post the links after the call in the description. And there's also a great interview with Chris on the Steelist show with the name The Tao of the DAO. Part 1 is already available, and I think in part 2 will go into more detail on the Bisq DAO, but Chris will know more about that. And of course, I will also post these links in the description. So for today's agenda, we want to talk about the preparations for the liquidity week, which will take part next week. And we will talk about everything you need to participate. It's really easy, and you can help decentralized exchanges. And as I mentioned, we will talk about the payment methods that will be available for the US within the new release 0.66. Yeah, maybe Chris, can you take over from here and walk us through the liquidity week itself?
Yes, yeah, thanks for all of that intro. So for those who have been paying attention to these calls, have been here already, you may know that next week is our BTC USD liquidity week. We've done a couple of these kinds of events now, and the idea is just simply to focus, to get everybody involved who has access to US bank accounts, who has access to US-based payment methods like Venmo and Pop Money and Zelle and so on. A focused window to work together to bootstrap a certain level of liquidity, like Christoph said, a certain level of buy and sell offers steadily being available on Bisq, so that anybody who's new to Bisq has the experience of coming in and being able to, wow, I want to buy, I want to sell Bitcoin for US dollars, and there's already an offer there waiting for me at a reasonable price, and so on. And then see what cascading effects that has in the weeks to come. We've done this sort of thing with Euro before, and today, if you are using Bisq, if you've downloaded Bisq, or you pay attention to any of our statistics, Euro's been better than ever these last weeks, right? So at any given time, we have 25, 30, 35 open euro offers, buying and selling Bitcoin for euros on Bisq. And that's our best market. That's our best pair. And what we'd love to do now is get USD liquidity up to par with that, or even beyond. It should be able to go even beyond. The market in the US is probably a bit bigger than the market in Europe for this kind of buying and selling of Bitcoin. So that's the context, and the content. What we intend to do next week is very simple. We just want to have even as few as 5 people, but 10 or 15 or 20 wouldn't hurt. People who are ready and willing and able to have Bisq running from Monday morning to Friday evening, placing offers, keeping offers open inside of Bisq. Just one buy offer, one sell offer at any given time. And when one gets taken, you replace it with another, right? Being a market maker for a week is essentially the idea of USD Liquidity Week. And then, of course, we're promoting that via Twitter. We're letting everybody know that that's happening. We're letting people who maybe haven't used Bisq at all before know that that's going on, and that this is a great time to come try Bisq out. And so there will be all kinds of offers with small amounts and our larger amounts and so on. So if that's something of interest to you, if you're somebody who has access to US bank accounts, US payment methods, you can participate on that level. If you're listening to this and you're saying, actually, I'm just interested in buying Bitcoin for the first time in a secure, private way through a decentralized exchange like Bisq, that's also a good time for you to do it next week if you're somebody who can buy Bitcoin through US banks, US payment methods. So there's really an opportunity for everybody. And so there's a few things that you needed to know. Basically, this call is a preview of coming attractions for whoever caught our message just in the last couple of hours here. You can set up, you can prepare yourself to participate next week and help us promote it when we really essentially kick this off on Monday. Our plan is for Felix and myself, Felix Moreno, who's also on the call here. We'll do a call, another live stream just like this on Monday at a decent time in the US, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern is what we're currently planning on. We'll see how it goes. But Felix and I will do a live trade with each other, end to end. He'll play the seller of Bitcoin, and he'll place an offer on Bisq, and we'll see his desktop while he does that. And I'll play the buyer, and I'll have my desktop showing, and we'll walk through the process of me taking his offer, and we'll settle that trade. We'll do the payment via Cash App on both sides, of course, and really demonstrate for people every step of the process of walking through a Bisq trade, and give a little bit of color about why things are the way they are, like security deposits, and let people know really clearly that they need security deposits. You're going to need 0.01 Bitcoin in order to be able to participate in the trade in the first place. We'll be clear about all that stuff, really for the first time. We won't have done a video like that before this. So it's not just a kickoff for USD Liquidity Week. It's also kind of hopefully a supercharged how to buy Bitcoin with US dollars using Bisq kind of video.
Fingers crossed.
Right? Yeah, we'll see.
Demo effect is always a risk. Yeah.
May the demo gods be with us, as they say, right? We'll do our homework beforehand to hopefully make it go well. So that's what you need to know. Stay tuned for that, right? You can come participate in that. You can retweet about that, what have you. The other thing you need to know is that we plan, right, and we'll see exactly how this goes, but we plan to ship version 0.6.6 of Bisq in time for that call, in time for next week. And really the major changes that are in that release are a set of new payment methods, new US-based payment methods, like I mentioned before, including Pop Money, potentially Venmo. We're still deciding about that one. Cash App for sure so far. And there's a couple of other ones, including ACH wire transfers, which we actually haven't supported in Bisq so far. And I won't go into a lot more detail about that. We've been talking a lot in Slack, and there's other videos on YouTube that you can follow up about the details about adding those payment methods. But the upshot is we're going to have at least a couple, 2, 3, 4 of them available that expose a whole new demographic of people to Bisq. Those apps are very, very popular, particularly Venmo and Cash App and so on. So that's exciting, hopefully. And what that means in terms of preparation, if you're watching this video and you want to participate either as a first-time buyer or as a market maker buyer, buying and selling throughout the week, that means you should go get those payment methods ready. And that means a few things. That means, of course, making sure that your account is in good order and that it's all connected with your bank and so on. That you're able to get the SMS notifications from it or whatever the verification method is by email. It means checking your limits. So you want to go remind yourself, okay, what are the limits for my Cash App accounts or my Venmo accounts? If you plan to really participate and you want to keep a buy and a sell offer open all week, or just a buy or just one open at all times. You want to know what your limits are, and you want to know which payment methods you're using when, so that you don't go over your limits and don't end up, delaying a trade and ending up in arbitration, that sort of thing. And if you have questions about that, come talk to us in Slack. We're happy to, to help and advise in any way we can for our market makers for a week, right? We've been thinking and doing a lot around this planning wise, so it's a good time to talk to us. Let's see. Otherwise, just do as you will, right? It doesn't matter, how much your offers are for, or how much of a range they're for, or how far a distance percentage from market price you place them. Whatever works for you. The only sort of commitment that we're asking for, if you're interested in this, is to try to play for the whole week. And if you can't do that, play for a few days, right? And be a market maker. I think that's about it. And you can stay tuned for, again, like I say, tweets on Monday. European time, we'll be putting those out. If you're in the US, you can wake up to them. You can retweet. I think that's about it from my side. Anything else, Christoph? We can take questions and so on.
Yeah, sounds great, Joe. So if there are any questions from everyone who is watching us live, please use the chat. We are here to answer your questions. Felix or Manfred, is there something from your side you want to discuss?
Well, we might want to go over the payment methods very briefly, just 5 seconds each. Chris, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll simply name them again. And again, no guarantee on any one of these. A few are going to make it in for sure. Pop money, which if you don't know it, you may already have access to it. I actually found this out for myself. I'm an American living in Europe, and I have bank accounts in the US. I didn't actually realize that I was eligible to use Pop money until just this week as we were going through adding this payment method. It may be the case that your bank or credit union already supports it. Were you going to say something, Matthew?
Pop money make advertising for themselves that they are supporting more than 1,400 different banks. So it seems that it's widely distributed.
I was impressed because I have basically I have two bank accounts. I have one with a large institutional bank, and then I have one with a small credit union, and it had access to both. And actually, it was the credit union that had dedicated Pop money support, like in the credit union's sort of website. With the big bank, Pop money just allowed me to sort of plug in the routing number and account number and so on. I could work with it on that level. I did have to do verification, and I'm still going through that process. So that's if you're thinking about signing up for this, it's Thursday now. We're talking about kicking things off on Monday. It'd be a good idea to do this ASAP. Go check out Pop money. And if you have a US telephone number and you can verify via SMS and so on, you'll probably get through smoothly without any delay. But in my case, I don't have a US phone number. I'm in Europe. I just have a European phone number, and I've ended up having to go through a kind of passports and so on sort of verification step with them. Hopefully it'll be ready by Monday. So FYI, Pop money's out there. It's widely supported, but you might have to go through a verification step. So get on it. Venmo. Yeah, you want to say something, Felix?
No. Venmo.
Okay. Yeah, Venmo, we're still on the fence about this. I'm not sure we've arrived at any decision. You know, we're highly concerned, as we always have been, about chargeback risk. We have a couple of ideas that we're implementing here to protect against that. One is lower limits for these than normal. Another is that we may have a kind of extended window for the seller who's receiving a payment via payment method like Venmo, for the seller to first receive the payment and then have an extra window to clear that payment into their backing bank and see that payment arrive, and only then release the Bitcoin, only then acknowledge receipt via Bisq. Again, no guarantees. We're still working on that. We'll see how far we get. But, you know, of course, chargeback risk is paramount for us here, and we're doing everything we can to prevent against it. But, you know, something like, you know, I was on the App Store today, downloading a couple of these things like Cash App, and I did a search for Cash App, right, in the Apple iTunes, just on my iPhone. Right? I did a search for Cash App. The first thing that came up was PayPal, which was an advertisement, right? And then I saw Cash App, and then the next thing down was Venmo, right? And I was looking at, you know, number of downloads or whatever that kind of key metric is in the Apple, you know, iTunes App Store, and it was, you know, PayPal had, I don't know, whatever it was, you know, 35,000 or something like that. Cash App had 33,000. These were sort of middling numbers. And then I scroll down to Venmo, 1.7 million. Whatever that metric was, it was, you know, orders of magnitude above, right? Or hugely greater than. So many people use Venmo. We'd love to support it, thinking hard about it. We'll see, right? But probably if you're listening to this and you're in the US, you know more about Venmo than I do. Uphold, we're looking at, incidentally, Moneybeam. That seems to be a European only thing, but we're also looking at adding a new European payment method. Revolut has recently shown up with some support in the US, but again,
yeah, I don't think it's accepting US clients yet, but they have announced that they're launching in the US very soon. But anyway, it's worth trying for Europe, because there's also dollar payments in Europe, and it will be in the US eventually. So it's probably a good option to have.
Yeah, and yeah, also just great to hear feedback from people if you're really excited about that or whatever. We've always had Zelle and Clear Exchange, its previous name before that. We still have Zelle. That's currently something like 80+% of all USD trades happen via the Zelle payment method. So again, you may already have access to that via your, you know, the big banks cooperate, are all participating members of that Zelle network. And then there's always US postal money orders that does get some traffic in the payment methods that we've already had. But you can see there's already, you know, 4, 5, 6 potential new payment methods. We'll have at least a couple of those. We'll certainly have Cash App. That's again what Felix and I are going to demo on Monday. Yeah, anything else, Felix?
Any chance we are going to see, I see it's on the list, any chance we're going to see the national bank transfers, bank wires for the US?
Oh, thanks for mentioning. Yeah, Manfred, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I'm planning to activate it again, as it was deactivated because we were unsure about the chargeback risk of ACH. But at the end, all those payment methods are using ACH in the back as the backend, and I think all those payment methods have a higher chargeback risk, probably like pure ACH or wire. And wire would be best, of course, but I think most users don't have the option to decide if they're sending the money over ACH or wire. But it's definitely planned to re-enable this. A short note on Uphold, that was the only payment method what I could register with a non-US bank account. And I was very surprised from the user interface and everything, and also the verification were very, very fast and easy. So I had a very good impression. They're supporting a lot of different currencies. And they have also Bitcoin, I think you can buy Bitcoin only. It's a little bit similar, probably like Cash App in the same direction, but a pretty good experience when I tried it out.
Yeah, Uphold was actually a Bitcoin company. It was called BitReserve originally. So there you can do quite a few things with Bitcoin there. as well as all the other payment in fiat currencies and so on.
Yeah, it might be interesting because it's a little bit like with OKPay, they're supporting something like 20 or 30 different currencies all over the world, and it might be a kind of like a proxy for international remittance trades and so on.
Yeah, unfortunately, OKPay has changed a lot in the last year. They changed ownership, they changed the type of licenses they're using, and yeah, it's a bit more restrictive now.
Yeah, OKPay is a pain, unfortunately, now. But in the past, it was pretty cool. But with the change of ownership, it got stuck.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions from anybody?
Just thing aside, I see Leo has joined, and Leo's he's the guy who's been doing the videos. Just wanted him to say hi. Leo, you're mute. You have to unmute yourself to say hello.
Hello.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for all the work on all the videos. We had a bunch of people interested in the British pounds today when we tweeted that out. It was cool.
Yeah, I'm glad I could take it out there today or yesterday. Yeah.
That's really great. Regarding questions from the chat, it's mainly about if we plan to have a mobile app. I tried to answer it already there, that it's quite hard to have a real peer-to-peer solution on mobile, especially on iOS, which is really hard. But there's a lot of work going on the Bisq API. So Mike is doing a lot of stuff, and this solution could be used to use it within a mobile app as well, to have a full-fledged trading app. But of course, you have to host an own instance of it somewhere. But yeah, that could be. And also one question was if we do have any plans for SegWit. I think there's an issue, but we didn't have started any development. Am I right?
Yeah, so SegWit, the problem is that Bitcoin J is still not supporting SegWit as a branch, but it's not merged to master, and I'm not sure how well tested this branch is and if it's really production ready. And beside that, there might be, even when it's enabled in Bitcoin J, I think they only want to support non-mixed inputs, so you cannot mix non-SegWit inputs and SegWit inputs together in one transaction, which is probably not very optimal. But yeah, we are a little bit dependent here on Bitcoin J. As soon as they have implementation, we'll look close into it.
Yeah, it's not going to get done before a couple of months. Now that Bitcoin Core has come out with the new release, we'll have native SegWit addresses and so on. Bitcoin J should be a month or so behind, and then Bisq. Yeah, so it will happen. It will happen, just not as quickly as we would like. And that leads me to the next thing. Once Bisq has SegWit, we will be able to start testing Lightning Network on Bisq, right?
Yeah, that's a big story. I mean, basically, it all depends. I mean, we are looking very urgently for a developer in that area, also somebody who is very experienced with Bitcoin itself and with Bitcoin J. And when we have a dedicated resource, we can move faster. At the moment, we are completely understaffed, and yeah, we basically don't have resources to really work on this, and especially to go into Lightning also will be a huge task. That will be not the easy change.
It's really worth mentioning, right? Since these growth calls are kind of for an in-group. This is the group of people who say they care so much about Bisq that they want to join a call to talk about growing it, right? That's a fairly small audience right now, but it's a potently important audience to let know. Part of the reason that we're doing these kinds of things is, of course, we actually want to grow liquidity and volume and the user base and the overall network around Bisq. Of course, we want to do that, but it's also one of the hopefully most effective vectors for exposing Bisq to potential contributors, right? We want to get people excited, the most talented, the most promising people in the space. We want them to get them as excited as possible about Bisq. You know, a lot of people find out about Bisq today, and we want more and more people to find out about it, so that when a certain group of people is looking for where to spend their time, that they actually think about the possibility of Bisq, especially if they're experienced Bitcoiners, if they're experienced Java developers, if they're experienced technical writers, experience with putting together videos like Leo, right? We doing things like liquidity weeks and growing the network is also a great way of casting a wider net to get people interested and involved in contributing, right? That's the critical factor. That's the limiting factor right now for Bisq. So we know what we want to do, right? Of course we want to implement SegWit. Of course we want to have Lightning integration. Of course we want to do all of these things. It takes more people, and it takes really good people. So that's part of what we're up to here. Worth mentioning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's just one more question. If we do plan an airdrop to all Bitcoin holders with the Bisq token to encourage trading on the platform. Yeah, Manfred?
We had this basically with our Genesis distribution. Last summer, we did the Genesis distribution of BSQ token to all people who have contributed to the project from the beginning. Developers, people who helped in the community, and also traders and translators. And yeah, there was an open invitation for everybody who has done something. They should send a request to her, and I think more than 140 people became part of this Genesis distribution. And once when we launch the BSQ token with the DAO, they will become BSQ holders with that. At the moment, yeah, we moved, and maybe Chris will give an overview about the DAO so quickly.
Yeah, but just to say, the answer to the question is no airdrop to all Bitcoin users. The idea about the BSQ token is that it's generated to compensate contributors to Bisq, and it's burnt. It's used. It's a utility token. It's used for voting and has many uses, but it's mainly burned for trading fees and generated for contributions, for work done, basically. So Bisq tokens are earned, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a meritocratic approach. Those people who contribute most, they will become a stakeholder of Bisq and have more influence via voting.
Yeah, there's so very much we can say about this. We have said so very much, and you can read all about it in our papers and in interviews and stuff like that. But it's great that you asked the question. It's always great to repeat this. That the reason that we have a DAO and the reason that we have a token, a colored coin called BSQ, is to enable a transfer of value from the users of the system, traders who get value from using Bisq, to transfer value to the people who create Bisq, maintain and develop Bisq. That's the purpose of BSQ, and that's why it gets burned when people trade it, and that's why it gets created when people earn it. And people want to spend it in Bisq. This is our thesis, right? That traders will want to hold BSQ and use it to pay for their trading fees in Bisq, because it buys them cheaper access to the Bisq network. So where it would have cost you a certain amount of Bitcoin to do a trade on Bisq, it will cost you less in the equivalent amount of BSQ to do the same. So there's an economic benefit to using BSQ. This is all about bootstrapping that transfer of value that can power the network getting better and better and better and better over time. So there's no need for us to do an airdrop to all Bitcoin holders. That's one strategy. We're not taking that. What we've done is taken a strictly meritocratic approach like Manfred described, where we proportion out the initial distribution of BSQ to all the people who ever contributed to the network. And now we're keeping a running tally. We vote every month on the work that people do. We'll continue doing that into the future. So again, lots and lots and lots to say, but it's if you're interested in that sort of thing, you can dive very deeply into this and find out all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, I will, as I mentioned, I will post it in the description after the call. We have a really great white paper on that. Thanks. And yeah, if there are not more questions from you guys out there, or from everyone who is within the Google Hangout, I would wrap up the call. Is it fine with you guys, or do you have anything? Fine, perfect. So if you watch this, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to get updates on Bisq and all our activities. And thanks again for everyone who joined the call today and watched us live. And see you again on Monday on our Liquidity Week launch event. I think it will be really special. I'm looking forward to that. So thanks, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.